please rise for the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. May I ask that everyone silence their cell phones at this time? Please refrain from cross-talking during the meeting, and please only reference agenda items as listed. Has the board had an opportunity to review the meeting minutes from the last meeting?
Yes.
Are there any edits, questions, or issues? If not, can I get a motion to accept?
A motion to accept the minutes as they are.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. We have a public hearing tonight on the 26-27 budget, village budget. We'll start that timer now. Keep it open for 30 minutes. We have a guest, George Gotcsik, is going to present the Village Green Gazebo project. George, would you like to start off the evening?
Sure. Thank you, Ken.
Thank you.
Some people here have already seen parts of this, and we've added a little bit to it, so I hope I can continue to keep your attention. All of the information that led to this started with a community village plan, and this was done in 2015. It covers the whole village, not just the green. This presentation was done 2 years later in 2017, specifically for the idea of a bandstand and maybe putting the statue of Rebecca back in place. Now, some of you might not, Rebecca was gone when we came here, so it was a large fountain that had the statue of Rebecca and 3 levels of water for humans and horses and dogs. It was hit by a pickup truck, and nobody knows where the pieces went. Okay? So when we look at this, and I think you have this in your file, okay? If you don't, I'll make sure you get a copy.
It's online.
It's online also? Yeah. So the Village of Lima study for the Village Green, the purpose of it was to restore the lost historical bandstand, which was on the 4 corners, and to possibly put Rebecca, or some form of Rebecca, in the back portion of the property. Originally, we started looking at gazebos and bandstands done by Amish companies. There's 2 big Amish companies in Pennsylvania, and many communities just do a general design or pick a design and just have them make it, and, you know, they come up and do it. And one of the ones that I had recently seen was this gazebo, which if you look at this structure, and we go to the next slide, you can see, second one, no, that one. You can see the bandstand there, and if you look at this structure, it's almost the same thing. I mean, this is a standard size that comes from one of the Amish manufacturers. This was done for a cost of $70,000, okay? Now, some people think we could do a bandstand for less. You know, again, contacting different Amish people and companies, and estimates range from 50 to 70. I've had estimates of over 100. So who knows until you actually do the architectural work and you find out what it is. So we go to the next slide. This is the full layout for what might be known as the Village Green. It's got the bandstand in the right-hand corner, and the reason it's there is to give it an open area for maybe bands playing during our Crossroads Festival. Plus, it's a meeting place, you know, for other events, Rotary events, and other things during the year. And And as you go back, there is a small berm wall, which is only gonna be a foot or so high, which would be cement rusticated block that we could have made by one of our local companies. This plan also shows that there's a movie lawn in that area. It's right next to the barn that Pete Mingus owns. And I've already talked to him, and he said, if you ever wanted to set this whole area up and have this movie area, we can paint the side of the barn white, and you could have really nice community movie events if that was of interest. And then the back area shows a berm with trees on it, so that when you are at the street and you look back the length, you don't see the trucks parked there, you don't see the barn falling down, you don't see the dirty parking lot. You see a nice berm with trees. Now, you've asked Brian about
Literature.
Yeah. So if you wanted to put that for semi-centennial, that would probably go in the middle of the area, very close to where that drop-off brick or cement wall would come. So it would have a private place. The kind of tree you're doing is a fairly high tree, so you could still see all the way back through to Rebecca and whatever comes up with the.
And it has a tulip shape to it.
Yeah, yeah, that's fine. So now let's take a look, because the original plan says, let's try to recreate what was here. So let's look at the next slide. That was the reviewing bandstand at the Four Corners. It's a very interesting structure, very unique. And what I like from looking at all of the other communities is many communities especially have something that's unique to their own community. That is really unique. It stood over the sidewalks. And the challenge here is that we wanted to do something like that. The bottom of that structure is square, but the top is octagonal. And you say, wow, now how did they ever think of doing that? And it's probably only about 12 to 14 feet wide. And that was done because the strength of the beams to cover a longer area, 20 foot or more, would probably require another support. And it would change the whole structure. So we'll go to the next slide. That's a closer view of it. And I took these pictures of New Energy Works in Canandaigua and had them do up a sketch of the next picture. Okay? When they did that sketch, they said the maximum they could do is 14 feet on the square part. We could still keep it octagonal on the top. It would be, 30 feet or so tall. But at the time we started to talk about it, the mayor was Carl Love. And he says, I don't want a gazebo like that. He said, I want a bandstand. Right? So we started to talk about something that would be bigger than this. New Energy Works said if we put railings on that and fixed it up, that it would probably cost $125,000. Yeah, they did. Okay, next slide. So what we started here was, well, what if we put windows around the top? These are 4-pane windows around that structure, and took the floor out, so that if you have a light in the top, it shines right down into the playing area. We were still working on a smaller footprint though, but the idea of having that glassed in with a chandelier or some type of a light fixture, it would really shine out very, very well. And remember, these done by the Amish, they put a light up in the center so the light comes through these little rails on the top as well as down through the bottom. So next slide. So we said, well, if we're going octagonal on the top, why don't we look at octagonal on the bottom? And ended up with this possible sketch. And this sketch is 20 feet wide. We didn't want to go any further because the lot next door is a 60-foot standard lot. So if you put it up in that front corner, you could still have pretty close to 40 feet open. It wouldn't mess up with the rotary tree. I reviewed that with Pete Mingus as well, and he says, no, that'd be fine, he doesn't have anything that's concerning him about this. He realizes that the house that was there was really in violation of our current setback rules. The setback, I think, is 10, that house was probably only 5. Now, Pete said, this is not a problem, we've already planted arborvitae there, and this would go very close to the arborvitae, but probably we should follow our own laws and make it 10 feet from the lot line. So this feature would include octagonal top and bottom. It would include the curve in the roof, which is the curve in the roof that we had on the 4 corners, and a pole that would, again, give, you know, a reference back to what that review stand was on the 4 corners. Next slide. This is a dark picture, but what that is the finial and the weather vane that was on top of the Presbyterian church when we took the old steeple down. So some people, when they saw that, said, well, if we ever had that, maybe we could do that in place of the wooden pole, and it might look all right. But again, you'd have to have that scaled and see whether it works. I happen to have that finial and weather vane in my barn, and the old clock fixes as well that came off of the tower. So it's available. If we had an architect play with it, we could then look at either a pole or, again, another reflection, some of the historical aspects that you have in the village. We can put that on the top. So let's go to the next slide. When I went in to talk to Maria, and I said, gee, I want you to just make a copy of this slide that I had. And she says, oh, could I play with it? I just got my new AI software, and I'd like to play with it. So she did, and she took the design that you saw before. There's the curved roof, there's the finial, there's the 2 stories. She didn't put windows in, but she just put the rails in, and said, well, what do you think about that? And I said, well, I think that's pretty clever. You think you could actually put it in situ for me? She said, if you take a picture from across the street of the town hall, we'll see what we could do. So next slide. Huh.
It's pretty good.
Now, yeah, it's pretty good. Now that's not quite as far over as it would be if we did put it in the corner, but it's close enough to give you a feel and scale as to how that would fit against the house and against the town hall. Okay? So, what I'm hoping tonight in this discussion was to answer any questions that you might have. And if we're going in the right way, then I'd like to take the next step, which is to talk to an architect. Now, the second question is, if it's done by the village, then you have to have the architectural drawings anyway, and you have to go out to bid and pretty much take the lowest bidder unless you find that there's some issues with that bidder, then you could then go to another level. And if you do that, I think it would be more difficult than going independently. And when I say independently, it means fundraising in the community. And what we would do is partner with a not-for-profit. That not-for-profit maybe helps, or I know individuals that would help with paying for an architect to get us a final design. And we would bring a final design then back to you for approval as to what could be put there. Now, some people, one person who's here, thinks that there might be a possibility of that kind of a structure being built for around $50,000 by the owners.
Mennonites.
Mennonites. Okay?
In today dollars.
In today dollars. That's right. And so those kinds of things whoever continues this project, would explore. But I think we definitely have to have some architectural drawings just for liability issues. Okay. Once we do that, if you agree to go forward, then we come back with an architectural drawing and some alternatives, which we could then finalize. This picture here doesn't have any railings or anything on the bottom. It might open up the area more, but I think a more traditional bandstand or gazebo would have the railings the way it is. And we do it like Maria did it, with open area on the top and with possible windows on the top. But I think a structure like this, with a chandelier, some type of lighting in that peak, shines out beautifully, across the neighborhood and down to the ground where people would congregate or dance would play. Okay? So what I need, I don't need it. If you would like to proceed, then I would like the village board's approval of the general concept with finalizing things with an architect. And I'd like to have your approval to go forward with the idea that we probably do it with your approval, but as a community fundraising. I understand the challenges that you guys have in meeting a budget that keeps people happy, so I think raising the funds in the community would not be a real problem. Any questions?
I do. Couple.
Sure.
First of all, thank you for presenting. I know that this has been a very long-term project. I'm going to add just a couple of thoughts from, as we're proceeding with an update to the master plan at the park. We're learning that these are approximately 10-year-old ideas. What has changed in those 10 years? And in most of this is an homage to our past, which is actually wonderful. And I really like the idea of the cupola effect of the top of it mirroring the previous raised bedstand, while having a more functional space underneath. It's the wheat code. So I think that's a really nice, elegant way to do that. I also agree that Mark Tubbs Park has been a labor of love for the community versus a municipal project alone. That the idea of doing it as a municipal, not a municipal park, village green, but as a project for our community, I love that idea. It adds to it. It adds to the warmth of it. It adds to, if you're perhaps using bricks in the way that a family can put their name on a brick that'll be there decades from now. So those are wonderful ideas, I think. I did want to let you know that the Crossroads Festival utilizes the Village Green for vendors. So that's a new thing that's happened in the last few years. Through the semi-quincentennial efforts, playing movies has now become a lawyer's job. It's become, rather than I have a VCR and we're going to put a movie on for the community, it's thousands of dollars to actually have community movies now. So much to my chagrin. Much to my chagrin, believe me. Because we wanted to do things for the semi-quincentennial and we're running into a big issue with that. So those are just two things, a couple things I wanted to add to that. And but I'm very much personally in favor of the concept and the direction that you're talking about.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love it, George. I can visualize a thermometer, like the old school thermometers as the donations continue to go up, posted outside the front there before the construction begins. Yeah, absolutely. We got some new nonprofits, 501c3 agencies in the community that could potentially come together collectively and make this happen. But I'd be 100% on board.
The War Memorial that is there next to the town hall, when that was built, purchased for around $10,000, people said, "Oh, how are we going to raise $10,000?" And I said, all you have to do is ask. And bigger ask, but I think it can be done.
It's been 10 years in the thought process, so it's another few years, but
Yeah.
let's start.
Yeah,
So George, I have two questions.
sure.
Anticipated cost that you're gonna need for a architect?
Well, I don't know, the last time, we did a project with a local architect, it was a little over 5,000, this might be a little more.
And once you get past that, what's your anticipation with the project start to finish? I mean, to raise the money and get, are we looking summer of next year?
That's aggressive. I mean, it's possible, but that would be aggressive. And it all depends on how quickly and how large the original ask goes. The way we did the war memorial is we wrote a letter to people in the community who we felt, one, would be interested in the community investment, and two, maybe had the wherewithal to make some, what we call a leadership gift. And we never had to go beyond the leadership gift, that was done. We also used, funds when we raised the church steeple, and that project was $70,000? I can't remember, what?
Someplace it said 35.
No, it was closer to 70,000, and that was raised through the church and community involvement. I remember we had a thermometer on the four corners, and it was,
That was for the clock.
that was just for the clock part of the tower,
Just
yeah.
another issue.
But, someone called up and said, how much money do you need to finish it? And I said, I told him the number and said it.
Nice.
And it would be someone you never would have thought. So, yes, I'd like to say that we'd have to get onto it.
Well, I would think with a tiered plan, this is a legacy investment for families currently living in this town.
George, do you think that the architect would postpone accepting fees until the funds were raised? Would he just put them on?
I don't think that's a problem.
Okay.
I mean, they wouldn't take their fee until the project was done, right?
And that takes some-
You don't pay them up front.
Well, I didn't know how that worked. I mean,
Yeah.
I would think if he's doing the drawings and giving them up to you, that he's gonna wanna have a little
You
COD.
probably need to pay a little upfront.
A little bit up front,
So,
yeah.
And is there currently any funds that are dedicated to this at all? So we're starting at ground level.
Right.
Okay.
Now, I also have to add, it doesn't have to be me.
In the-
So, I'm sorry.
It doesn't have to be me that runs the project. At my advanced age, you know,
Would you be interested in leading
You
it?
can just volunteer, George.
I'd be willing to volunteer for someone else to take the lead, but if it falls just on my shoulders, I suppose, I'm interested in having it done.
You are the champion of it regardless.
Well, so far.
And so have you reached out for a community group to assist the champion, George?
I know of a community group who might provide some funds to get the thing started.
Is it closer to a 3 to 5 year project?
No.
More?
No, I
less?
think once the architectural work is done, to shop it, you know, to see where we can get the best price. And it might be going to Mennonites or it might be going to Amish. And I've talked to both of the Amish companies in Pennsylvania, and they both say that, you know, you just bring us what you want and we can do the modifications. And they would do it probably without architectural drawings, because that's what they do. They know how to make these things. But I think we wanna have architectural drawings first.
I think it's definitely, it would definitely call for a community, a public meeting where we could, you know, spread the word and create awareness with this and invite, you know, all the village and town residents, to come and show them this presentation. I think it has a lot of value to it, and it's gonna stir up a lot of open wallets and checkbooks. Once we get the actual numbers together,
Yeah,
that way we
I
can
think
present
so,
it.
yeah.
I'd be happy to give you support, like I did for the presentation and such,
Mhm.
certainly for the time being, and to help you out. We could probably do a presentation during the, Crossroads Festival up at the upstairs.
Very good
We have it reserved for 4 days. I mean, one of those days could be a presentation we
idea.
could do in August to communicate, that's it. So we can certainly do that. We can put up big screens and projectors, so.
Okay, so once again, if you're generally in tune with the concept and doing is an outside government fundraiser, then I would like a vote from the village board to proceed.
I will make a motion to the board to proceed with the conceptual formation of the Village Green Plan as a private, public venue with private, public land and private donors.
How about a second?
Second.
Ben, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Okay, thank
I have
you.
one question, George.
Sure.
Is there any way that we could get this done in time for the sesquicentennial?
Write me a check.
That's all you need is the money? You never know.
No,
Put
you know,
helicopter blade on top.
you could do it, if you have the money in the bank, this could probably go pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I don't wanna put a timeline on it until we've got the architectural work done. And then we'll get the numbers for it in terms of that. Okay?
Thank you, George.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
George,
Yeah.
I would, be happy to give you a hand with the fundraising.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
And George, personally, as you form your core group, I'd be happy to work with you as well, either as a liaison, but also for social media,
Yeah.
which I think is help.
Thank you, Brian.
And definitely we'll bring Rotary into the group with us,
Mm-hmm.
and Kiwanis and Masons, all the
Mhm.
nonprofits that we have.
And Dan and I can present to the Crossroads Council as a 501c3 to see if that might be the vehicle for that part of the equation.
Yeah, I think that would be great. You know, I don't know, how much funding the Crossroads Council could apply, but for seed money to get started on the architectural drawings, that would be a major step forward.
But even as a vehicle for collecting funds
Yes.
and that are tax deductible.
That's right. We need someone to be the fiduciary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other questions for George? I do wanna open up, public comment for the public hearing on the budget. Does anyone have any comments at this time? Yes, Chris.
Yeah, Christopher Doe, 1954 Buell Ave. I just, with your guys' increase this year, it's gonna be, I just wanna say it out loud, in 2 years, 25% tax increase. If we keep going with 8 to 9%, it's gonna be between 40 and 45% in 4 years. That seems pretty excessive. And that's just my personal opinion as a village resident, not as a town board member.
I appreciate your comments, thank you. Anybody else have comments at this time? I'll leave it open for 2 more minutes, 3 more minutes, and we'll have 30 minutes, unless we can close it now.
We'll make it 35.
It's at 7:30, so let's look at 7:30.
Okay. In the meantime, we might as well go ahead and let Chief Gary present, please, to the fire department.
Good evening. As far as personnel, I got one member application that I provided with your packet. This is really taking a life member, Miss Denise Warner, who's a life member of the auxiliary, and just moving her back to active status within the auxiliary. She was approved by the executive board and the general membership at our last meeting. Should just be the final approval for that. And then unfortunately, we do have 4 members that are leaving the organization, all because they are physically leaving the area. Won't be able to be members anymore. Their names are listed there. Moving down to training, unfortunately, we did not get the state was gonna run an ice rescue course, did not get conducted due to a lack of ice. Not sure why they waited until March to do it. Many months of good ice to do it, but I don't have any control over that. So we did, we had one firefighter was supposed to take it, but the course was canceled. We do have 2 firefighters that registered to take the basic passenger vehicle rescue course. It starts tonight, actually, and then goes through this week. And then other completed events, we did do a drill down here last night, used the town hall. It was a good opportunity for some training and accomplish that. Call activity over the last 30 days or for the month of March, really nothing significant in there except for, 10 recorded basement pumping details. There was probably about another 13 or 14 that were unrecorded as we went to one house and the neighbor says, oh, my basement's flooded too, and we ended up kind of working our way around the neighborhood there. We did about 20 or 25 over 2 days, but 10 of them officially went through the 911 dispatch.
Chief, were these the repeat recipients?
There were
or
a couple
something?
of repeat recipients, but we did see, kind of the nature of that event. We did see some ones that we haven't been to before in a long time. A lot of it is just because the ground is super saturated. It just doesn't have any place to go. So places that normally don't have flooding, we heard that kind of over and over. I've never had water in my basement. We've never had it like this before. And it was just kind of a sudden event. There were a couple of repeat offenders, that every time we go there, we say, we told you last time, why don't you get a crock, why don't you get a pump, it's just kind of a constant problem here. But there were several new people that just don't normally have problems that were experiencing some issues, so we're happy to help where we can. Looking at the next page on grants, we did get the DEC grant, as I mentioned last month. $7,000 grant, it's a matching grant, so we buy $7,000 worth of equipment, which we did complete all the equipment purchases, about just under $7,000 worth of equipment. And then once the Ranger Cordell comes out and reviews the equipment, he already has the invoices in his hand. He'll come out and physically look at the equipment, ensure we bought what we said we were gonna buy, and then the $3,500 will go into the account. And that's through the New York State vendor process, so that should be all on track. We should see that. He's supposed to come out a week after next, the last week in April, so usually sometime about within 30 days we'll see that money show back up, so it should be by the end of May, that money will come in there. And then we're continuing to apply for a variety of grants, basically anything that's out there, everything from Anheuser-Busch and a pallet of drinking water to Nutella and $5,000 for, if there's a grant out there that we're eligible for, we're working on it. The big one, the FEMA grant just opened up. Don't have a lot of confidence in that, it's kind of in the same, they're distributing about 10% of the money they used to do, so there's just not a lot of money out there for that. And we did already complete our application for the New York State grant. Both of those are, the $230,000 for breathing apparatus that we've asked for on those grants. Under miscellaneous, we did approve the continued participation in the Livingston County mutual aid agreement. Really no changes from last year. The only modification, there was an addendum added that was already operationally occurring, but was specifically mentions wildland firefighting operations in a geographic alignment. So basically we're in like the northeast quadrant of the county, and there's a wildland firefighting task force that basically from Springwater to East Avon, Livonia, and everything in between, that if we have a big fire, big forest fire or something like that, we can basically, call for that task force, and all the wildland firefighting resources of all those departments will come in one group to us. And we're on the hook for the same thing, if there's something in Springwater or something in Hemlock of the same nature, we would provide our personnel and equipment to support that. So we submitted that back to the county. We did our line officer elections. No significant changes, a little bit of movement there. As of the 1st of May, the chiefs will stay the same. Mr. Kirkwood will move up to captain, and Mr. Charles will move up to first lieutenant from second lieutenant, and then we'll have a couple of vacant line officer positions still. But we have we have the minimum personnel that we need to continue to operate. In that regard, I did send the annual report to the mayor and supervisor for everyone. And really the biggest thing out of that annual report was call volumes up a little bit. We did about 60 more calls last year than we did the year previous. But the nature of calls has not changed in terms of frequency, MVCs, fires, and utility-based calls, CO2, gas things. Those are or CO gas calls are the predominant ones. Looking down to equipment maintenance, now we're almost at the conclusion of the transition of pumper 234. We had, the purchase price was $275. We had asked for an additional $75 out of the truck reserve for that transition. Right now, I think it's gonna end up right under $40,000, so we'll be able to return we haven't really taken it out, but $35,000 that will remain within the truck reserve, as that goes now, so, all told, it's only gonna end up being about $315 for that truck to include the transition. The biggest one was that they're Monroe County, so they were running a 4-inch hose, supply hose. We're 5-inch down here in Livingston County, so there were some appliances that needed to be changed out on the truck. Were pretty costly. Each one of them was about $3,000, so that ate up a lot of our money. But we knew that going in. That's why we asked for that money. We knew that was going to be a cost as part of that transition. Tanker 236 got 6 new tires on it this week. Just got it back yesterday, so that's done. And then Pumper 235 came back to us after that frame repair. It was over there for longer than expected. The damage and degradation of the frame was worse than expected, so it took a longer amount of time, but it did not raise the price significantly. It still came in just under $19,000. So we had originally, asked for up to $25,000 for that, for any unforeseen costs associated with that repair, and it came in still well under that number, so that's good. And that'll buy us the additional time on that apparatus as discussed. And then the last thing I'll highlight is down at the bottom on our run cards. And there's been a lot of talk about Hemlock Fire Department, is closing down, is not gonna be an independent fire department here. They had some things on their sign out front that indicated it was, immediate. That's not really the case. They're not going to stop operating independently until the end of this calendar year on January 27. They're already being augmented by Livonia, who is gonna assume control of that geographic area of Hemlock. So we have not had to make any changes, and I confirmed with Livonia and Hemlock. We have not had to make any changes to our run cards or our mutual aid agreements with them, or us to them either. But after the 1st of January, basically they'll be replaced on our run cards. And then we have been added in additional places that we have not previously been part of established mutual aid with Honeoye Falls, Richmond, and West Bloomfield. Those have increased where we appear in additional instances on our run cards. And that's reciprocal. That's the same thing we've done with them. So everybody's having the same issue, right? There's an absence of volunteers manning and coverage weekdays. So a lot of departments are adding adjacent departments around them to their run cards to ensure that if there is an emergency, that there's adequate coverage. So it's nothing out of the ordinary or unexpected. That's all I have. Any of your questions?
Chief, did you say you did get the frame off repair back already?
Yep, it's back in service. It was back in service last week.
That was in there for about 4 months, and I think.
Right. No, we got the bill, I just didn't know if it was rolling.
Yep, back in service.
Well, once again, the fire gods are looking down on us,
Lucky.
Chief, with Hemlock closing down, is there anything that might be for sale that we could snag up?
So we went, we looked at it. I mean, most of their equipment is being assumed by Livonia because they're gonna be responsible for that area, so they're kinda gonna make that Livonia station number 2. But we did look at their tanker, and it was not in a condition that would make any sense. It's almost as old as ours.
What about breathing apparatus?
Theirs are older than ours,
Oh, jeez.
or as old as ours, but not in a significant state that we would take.
Chief Gary, I don't understand what a $5,000 grant for Nutella is.
So Nutella is just the sponsor of it.
Oh, I see.
They're offering $5,000 to volunteer fire departments that you had to justify or put in your narrative what you would use it for, so we said we would use it for turnout gear. But it's just Nutella, the company is providing that grant, just like the drinking water one is from Anheuser-Busch and Globe and Firehouse Subs. Those are all just companies that provide grants to volunteer fire departments, and we apply for all of them.
So we're not getting chocolate spread and.
Not that I'm aware of. I don't know if the bottles of water will say Budweiser on them or
They
anything, but.
do, actually, they're white cans, there was a commercial just the other day.
Oh.
It's about how many millions of cans of water they've made, so.
All of the Budweiser.
They say Anheuser-Busch on the back.
Very good. We need a motion to accept membership
Yep,
from
I will
Denise
be glad to
Warner.
make a motion to accept longtime member Denise Warner into active fire department.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Thank you, Chief. At this time, I'm gonna open up the floor one last time for any questions on the village budget. If there are no additional questions, can I get a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion to close the public hearing on the budget.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Get a motion to accept the budget.
I'll make a motion to accept the budget for 2026, 27.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Dave Sansone, Captain, is it?
Assistant Chief.
Assistant Chief, beg your pardon, thank you, Assistant Chief. You have the ambulance report for us.
Yep, so I'm here for Meg tonight. So for March, 51 calls responded to, we covered 100% of them. Almost half of them were during those daytime weekday hours, that's the hardest for us to fill. About 16 of them were out of district mutual aid, and 4 of them were second calls that we scrambled to prove for, and we were able to do that for all 4 of those. Base was used 5 times for community events. We're working on replacing our outbuilding with Charlie and Steve and others to create a bigger space for our loan closet stuff and our extra supplies that we just need some storage space for. We took in 2 EMT applications, 1 driver application. Dominic has stepped down as assistant chief, so it's just me in that role for now. 2881 is going to go in for a diesel tune-up later, and we've had some ongoing electrical issues with it, but it's still been on the road. We're still looking for grants to replace our AEDs. They are past their end of life, and so trying to find a way to fund that. We've had some HVAC issues. I know there's a part that's on order that's back ordered until June or something like that, and the tech that we've had in a few times has been kind of patching, trying to just get us to the point that it needs to be, but it's a little chilly in there at the moment. We have a whole group of volunteers that have been working on various projects around the building, some small, some bigger, but trying to identify everything that they can do to help get stuff done around the building. Made a change in policy with the staffing company, that if any of our volunteers wanted to work in those per diem spots for the staffing company, that they will no longer be volunteering at other times. So they can be volunteers or they can be part of contract staff, but not both. We've been working with the village and the town on the contract and our budget requests. We had a couple of good meetings over the last couple of days. I think we're in good shape for that. We've got multiple training classes set up for the next few months and then through the rest of the year, both for our staff and for the community. We have the new Department of Health Part 800, which is basically just all the rules and regulations that we have to follow, including all the equipment that we have to have. They changed the checklist on some of the equipment things, so we've been, that goes into effect in May, and so we've been changing our stuff around for that. And we wrote a a formal letter to the state encouraging, to them to continue maintaining the crossover payments for the patients that have Medicaid but are also covered by other stuff. That was a month ago or so, that became a big thing, that the state was looking to drop that, their portion of that payment. And I think that's it. Any questions?
I have a question, Dave, regarding the paid staff, how's that working out with the list of, responsibilities that they're given if they're not, taking on calls?
I know they are given responsibilities, they have a bunch of things that they are given to and expected to maintain. I can't speak to it specifically, but I know that they do have responsibilities daily.
In October of '25, the New York State Department of Health made a requirement for all EMS vehicles to have dual-facing dash cams with GPS and G-force indicator. Are you working on that at the moment?
So, in the last couple of days, that has kind of blown up.
Right, I've seen it
as,
several
as,
places.
as news coverage.
Yeah.
And the funny part is that all of the news coverage about it has been largely incorrect, like factually incorrect. So one of the facts about it is that it grandfathers in all existing equipment. So it's gonna apply in some date at the end of 2026, so it only applies to vehicles after 2026.
October, yes, again,
Yeah.
it's 1 year, October 2020, that part
Yeah.
I think is accurate.
The second part is that policy specifically and only applies to, and it's written like this, ambulance vehicles that are not ambulances. So it only applies, in our case, would be to the fly car. It does not apply to ambulances.
Huh.
I don't know why, I don't know what the intention or purpose was behind that, but that specific regulation, if you go look at it at the top, and like ambulances is in a completely different document. There's nothing in the document about cameras. It's only in the document that specifically talks about non-ambulance vehicles. So at some point when we have to replace the fly car, then that would be something that would have to be included in that. If they ever do roll out something for the ambulances, if they do it the same way where it would be on, your next purchase or something, then it would have to be included in that. But as of right now, there's no requirement to retrofit what we have, or even put it in the ambulances at all. Personally, I'm a fan. I like them, but it's not something that we have to worry about at the moment.
Well, thank you very much for that explanation.
Good deal. I wanted to commend you and the agency on the response times in minutes. It's amazing what you guys have done just in the last 6 months. You've actually cut the response times almost in half or over in half. So kudos to you guys. Do you think that's because we have more volunteers that are being staged at the ambulance at the right times, and how much of that is the paid staffing that is responsible for helping with that?
I'm sure that's part of it, because they're filling in some of the daytime hours that are harder for us to cover. I know we have a few people that that stage at the base. Personally, I just run from home, but I'm in the village, so I can get into that. We really try to encourage, especially the medics, to get there as quickly as possible. We count the first medic on scene as our on-scene time. So, for example, when I'm responding from home with a fly car, our time on scene is when I get there, not necessarily when the ambulance gets there. So that's how I try to cut that down.
Well, and we're grateful for that. It's just an amazing service that is unspoken, but needs to be recognized. So definitely, thank you, and hats off to you guys for your success. Now here's a weird one. On the outcome on your report here, it said no patient found. There's 2 of them.
Yep.
Can you help explain? I've never seen that before, or that has never got my attention.
Yeah. So I don't know those in particular, but I can just tell you from general experience that happens sometimes. Sometimes it's like we'll get there and kind of be like canceled at the door before we talk to anybody. They'll be like, don't worry about it. And,
Coughed up a grape or whatever.
it may be. I've had situations where I had one time where somebody pushed their life alert button, but they pushed it in their pocket as they got in their car and left. So we got there, and the house is empty. There's nobody there. We walked around a couple of times, looked through the windows. There was no car in the garage, we didn't really have any reason to believe, that not here, somewhere else, but, that type of thing can result in, well, we didn't find anybody. So it can happen.
You have a couple of folks here that are applying, Ms. Scott and Gaffard, is it? Gaffard?
Are those the EMT
Uh,
applications?
Yes, driver EMT. I don't know. This one doesn't have Sheriff Scott does not have anything checked on her application.
I know there were 2 EMTs and 1 driver.
I don't remember
That's-
seeing 2 come
Only
through
got
in email.
two.
You don't,
I wonder if, well, he said 1 was EMT driver, so I wonder if that was the
that's
same
just got,
person.
okay.
That's why they're.
I don't know. I don't see those, so I don't.
So did we get a motion to accept Alex and Sheriff Scott for the ambulance, please?
So moved?
Well, we get one motion. Motion from Dan, second,
Second.
and all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. You said there was a third?
I'm not sure, on here it says 2 EMTs and 1 driver, when you read off one of those, one of them was both, so I don't know if that's it.
We have two.
Oh,
I'm the driver.
okay.
This is the reason I came tonight. Because something in my brain told me something like this might happen. But I'm the one that applied as the driver.
And you are Alex?
I'm Brandon Gums.
Oh, okay, so Brandon,
I don't remember getting,
I haven't seen anything for Brandon.
We have two here. They're actually 2 different application styles, so,
One of
one's a
them was
job
typed
form
up.
and one's I'm assuming, multi-copy.
Well, fine, I mean, if you want to.
To do an approval based on Meg's diligence and the sheet of the
I mean, I don't think, we don't normally wait for this to go, I think we,
Starting that anyway.
our normal procedures.
Yeah, so we're going to make the motion for all 3 that are applying at this time. All in favor?
what's your name?
Brandon?
Thank you, Brandon.
It's spelled differently if you think of the Brandon Brigade in Germany. It's E in at the end.
Okay.
And
And what's your
I-
last name?
Gums, like George Union, Mary Sam.
Okay.
Thank you for joining our agency. Appreciate your volunteer time. Any other questions for David?
No, I see their, out-of-district calls are down to 31% this month after it was 40% last month. Is it trending, or is it just happen to be the numbers the way they were?
I think it just happens to be what it is. I know we've done some staging. I think they were out towards, for them on, maybe this morning. So
Yeah, again, my
it's
concern.
still, yeah, it just kind of fluctuates depending on how mostly the county's coverage is doing.
Right.
Dave Kirkwood, I saw you sneak in here. There you are. Wastewater treatment plant.
Yeah, I kept it really simple for the minutes tonight, just because basically I just wanted to focus on the huge amount of water we got this past month. We're going to, when I send the paperwork in, we're going to exceed our permit on flow this month by a pretty substantial amount, about 1 million gallons. It's just the way the storm hit with the groundwater table up so high. None of it's saturated in, it just all came straight to us.
And that would have been an issue in other communities, I would have to imagine.
I'm sure it is. In storms like last year in June when we got all the rain, we get hit the same amount, except the groundwater table's lower, so it dissipates a little quicker. This just kept pouring in, so it was a longer duration of water coming in. I am not sure exactly what the DEC's course of action is. About another week, I'm gonna have to start turning in my reports for last month. I'm gonna try and get all my numbers together and look up the past few years in the springs, see how close we've gotten to this before. I'm gonna send an email, trying to think of his name, Jonathan Tamargo is our DEC rep. I'm gonna send an email to him just to find out, hey, so he knows ahead of time we're gonna be sending this in and it's gonna be over our permit. I'm assuming, like we said, a lot of other municipalities are gonna have this problem. I don't think it's gonna be a huge issue, but I don't know what exactly they're gonna do. They start looking at us when we get 3 months in a row that are over 85% of our max flow. If this month stays dry, I don't think we're gonna hit that. but usually that does get pretty close every year. With that being said, when our peak flow came in last month, we were pushing about 900 gallons a minute. Our plant is rated for maybe 280, so we were really excessive over what our plant theoretically can do. Luckily, we passed our labs every day. I'm waiting on one last outsourced set of labs to come in, but it looks like everything went all right, other than just the huge amount of water. The 900 gallons a minute is pushing the capacity of the pipe that's coming into the plant. So this is an issue that is going to potentially, if it gets any worse, cause some serious problems. And I was talking to Ben a little bit about it. I would like to look into the possibility of maybe printing up a door flyer with some information about sump pumps. I know it is against our village code to plumb your sump pump into the sewer system. I know we have lots of drainage issues all around the village, so it is very hard to tell somebody they can't do it if there's no place else to dump the water. But my hope is there's 20 to 30% of them that are doing it that just didn't know that that wasn't a rule, or it's a slight inconvenience that they might be able to change, because that's, I know of 5 or 6 houses around the village that do it right now and plumb it in, and if it's few I know, I'm sure there's many more that do it, and that is hitting me really quick with a lot of water every time we get a storm.
Dave, were you part of the team that was inspecting the type of water mains that were coming in with Ben?
I did a few of them, yeah.
Because that would have been an opportune time to eyeball some of the sump pumps that may have been tied into our sewer system.
It was, and I know we tried to look at them. You can't really wander around somebody's
Sure.
basement, but if there was, I believe a few of them got noted if we happened to see it while we were doing it. Doing these basement pumpings, there was a couple I saw. It doesn't take money, even a small sump pump that's doing 10 to 20 gallons a minute. When the rain hits and that's pumping full bore, you get 5 or 6 of them, and it doesn't take long to add up to 100, 200 gallons a minute extra that's coming in from those. We are trying to look at the issues in the sewer system with the manholes and the pipes. I know we're waiting for the engineer from MRB. I don't know if he's rescheduled an appointment to come out about the drainage.
Is that
Pardon?
Pat, okay.
Yeah. So we are working towards the sewer system. I think that'll help with some of the more constant slow water seepage that's coming in. But it's just, I would like to try and go out after some of this really quick infiltration.
What size is that pipe, that incoming pipe?
It's 12-inch main coming in, which, I mean, just in theory should hold about 1,200 gallons a minute. So we're really getting close to that, and I want to do some work hopefully this year, if I can get done with a couple of the guys in the sewer cleaner to really go through the park, get all of that jetted, because that one line takes a huge amount of the village, comes down through that one part. Other than that, things have been going good. We're getting some tanks pumped out and cleaned. Same old maintenance, we're trying to get everything caught up. Spring again, so all the bi-yearly maintenance we're going through. By the end of next month, we should have all of that done. There's no real big issues at the moment. We had one main bearing going, one of our clarifiers. It's still holding in there and spinning, but that is going to be a pretty big project. We already got the bearing purchased. We got that through Northeast Conveyors. I just gotta wait for the flows to get down before I can shut the clarifier down.
Hum or vibrate?
It grinds. The bottom of the bearing dropped right out, so
Lovely.
we try and shut it down during the day when it's not needed as much. But it is gonna be a pretty substantial project to get that replaced. Doable, but just, I need the clarifier up with the flows that we're at right now. I think that's about it. Next month I'll kind of have a little more in-depth of everything over this past year, what we've been able to accomplish. Electric bill was way down this past month. We managed to be a little bit more careful, well, not more careful, just with the weather, I've been able to turn some electric heaters off. We got the usage down a little, but it's just, I can't predict their pricing. It went from 24 cents a kilowatt hour to 6. So I dropped like $3,000 or something like that on the bill. I have no idea how to predict what it's gonna be. I've started monitoring the gas meter, the electric meter. Every week I'm writing them down so I can kind of try and predict what's coming up. So I know what my usage is, but just what they're gonna bill me is, I have no idea. I think on my budget, last time I checked, I'm doing pretty good. It should be under budget so far. And I started the plant, there really is very, very minimal amount of tools there. So if I do get to the end of this budget, I would like to order some tools and get some equipment to help with this next year's maintenance. I've been bringing a lot of stuff in from home to try and fill in where it is. But other than that, yeah.
Do you have the bulbs been installed yet, the UV bulbs for the season?
No, they go in at the end of this month.
Okay.
We did go through Monday and we drained the tank that they're adjacent to. We got all that screen scrubbed and cleaned, ready for them to go in. The bulbs got a full service at the end of last year. Basically, they just need the cleaning solution poured back into them.
Does that have so that tank that holds the bulbs has a bypass that you can service the tanks where the bulbs go in?
Yes. It comes right out of our final clarifier into the UV, which is attached to the aeration. I had, what's the company there that helps us out? They help you find water leaks once in a while. New York Rural Waters.
Yeah.
They came out, did some DO testing of the water, some dissolved oxygen testing. We've been able to cut way back on the amount our aerator's running because we're actually putting out water that meets our permits. That's been helping save the electric bill. And allows us, like, we were able to shut the tank down for about a week, get it drained, cleaned. When you drain that, it also drains the channels for the UV, so we can get those all cleaned out. So that should all be in good shape for, end of this month.
Good deal. Well, once again, thank you. I know you had a hell of a challenge with all that infiltration, but
Yeah, for sure.
we're going to be attacking that here this year as soon as we get in touch with Pat.
And I'll keep you posted. I'll send an email when I find out what the DEC's course of action is, if there's anything. I mean, there's not much we can do as far as an immediate fix. It's just water comes when it comes.
Sounds good.
Dave,
Yes.
talking to a neighbor today, she was concerned because she saw 3 men walking through a yard, I think it was to check a sewer or something, and she's alone, and I just thought maybe if we could knock on her door, someone like that, say, here's who we are, this is what we're doing, it would alleviate some of her concerns.
Do try, because that is the one thing about working for a municipality that I can't get used to, is just walking through people's yards. It's hard. Basically, the county's coming out and doing a lot of GPS locating in the places where the sewer runs behind people's houses.
Yeah.
You end up walking through their yard. I try knocking. I have never gotten anybody to answer the door when I've tried knocking on the door. And the problem is, like, we went back there, or 2 guys were back there looking, they couldn't find it. I knew where it was, so then I went back there looking. And then the girl from the county is gonna come out and go back there and do the it's so hit or miss when anybody's gonna be back there. I try to let people know when I can, but it gets challenging.
Okay, I'll speak to her.
Yeah, I'm assuming probably the county should be done doing that. If we found them.
It's gonna be an ongoing thing,
Yeah.
as we keep doing it. We have a list that we've been working on, and we go out, we try to find 20, 30 things, and then she comes out the following week, hits off what we find, and then while she's doing that, we might find another 10. It all depends on how much time we have during the day as we're coming back and forth.
Anybody we see, we try to talk to, let them know what's going on. We try, we wear our shirts, we always go with the high vis.
Most of us all have green Village of Lima shirts or sweatshirts on. I mean, if someone approaches us, we all let them know what's going on.
Yeah. And if we can stop and talk to your neighbor if you want to
Okay.
communicate with them. But,
I'll ask her if she wants somebody to stop by.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dave.
Thanks, David.
Thank you.
Mr. Doe, I wanted to give you a response comment. I didn't mean to dismiss your statement earlier about the budget, and I apologize for not responding sooner. But just to clarify, that 6% of the budget, of the 8.78% was based on inflation, the cost of doing business, health insurance, and payroll, that alone. The 2.78% was to increase the fire department contribution. As you may or may not know, that Lima is the lowest in the county for EMS services. And not that that just justifies us arbitrarily just to give money randomly to EMS, but in this case, the long-term 5-year plan was not, and longer, was not going to be met for the needs and reserve funds by the fire department. So, meeting with the town supervisor and myself, we found a way to help sustain and support the fire department so that these vehicles that are costing $1 million now instead of $500,000 can be affordable, or at least more affordable moving forward. So respectfully, that's where we cut breakdown. We do take every half point and quarter point and dollar into consideration because I pay them too, and it hurts. We have to have a 2-income household to pay the bills, and I respect your comment and just want to give you a proper response.
Thank you.
You bet. Charlie?
Building department report, there's 12 permits in the town that were issued that are still open in 2026. I know this is the village, but, and there's still 12 in the town from 2025 that are still open. People working on projects, they haven't even started, like in the village, there's 4 that were issued in 2026 that are still open, and 2 in the village from 2025 that are still open. I do contact people if somebody's got a permit and they just haven't called, or a shed is arriving or whatever. I follow up with people so I can sign it off and get it off the books here. There were 6 new permits issued to the village. There were 9 inspections done in the village. I received a complaint about person on 7188 Hogan Avenue that's running an auto service business, which is not legal. Sending them a letter with code violations that they should not be running the business and that they should stop it. I've driven by the house and actually seen the guy working on, it's a young man, I guess, under 21 or something, that is working at his dad's house. And there's I don't know if he's a sheriff, retired sheriff, detective, or Monroe County or Elizabeth County, who's taking pictures and recording and videotaping this guy running this business, and found out his business name online in Livingston County. So I'm sending him a letter to stop doing that, and then I'll keep following up if he doesn't, and after we get to 3 letters or so, I'll contact Matt. College Street, 7160 and 7277 College Streets, the 2 houses that Scott Donaldson purchased. Actually, 7160 College Street, I just received a call today that one of the neighbors on back up to that property wants to buy that property from him and demolish the whole house. This is the one up at the top of the hill by Jerry Waters, called the real bad one.
The one that moved all the
Equipment.
commercial equipment except for one lift?
Yeah, and the lifts and the
Well,
side
yeah,
drive.
he took out one lift, is the dump truck gone now?
Dump truck's gone.
Okay, the dump truck wasn't gone yesterday. The dump truck and the other lift are there. He said that he needed a diesel mechanic to get him going. It wasn't just a dead battery. So he's selling that property and working on the other property. He does have permits on both of them. And in May, he'll be paying us again for another permit to work on that because it's gonna expire. Yeah, but the neighbor wants to buy 7116 College Street.
Did he ever provide a letter in writing saying
No.
when he was gonna start the demolition?
No, he said he would, but he hasn't. I mean, he hasn't by this meeting.
I mean, how many permits has he renewed at that location?
We have one,
You said the
For this
permits
guy?
expired
2,
on,
yeah, 2.
so 2,
yeah,
so just last year and this year?
well, yes. I mean, it's every 6 months, but it's, May 7th was when he got his first permit. And then 6 months later, I had him come in again because he got to pay $50 for the to renew it, not a new permit, but to renew it. And then his other house down the street at 7277 College Street's the same thing.
Owned by the same
He was
person?
working on that house, but it was only the inside, I'm sorry, what?
Owned by the same person?
Yeah,
These two
Scott
houses?
Donaldson.
Oh.
He bought one at, I don't know if at the end of College Street, it's actually in the town. I don't remember the house number, but if you go to the bottom of College Street, going west, there was a house on the left and the grass was overgrown for a really long time. Well, there's farmland, then a house with a bunch of motorcycles and trucks, and then this vacant house.
Okay.
That he flipped there. Redid the whole foundation, amazing amount of work. But, 7160 has to be demolished completely.
Right.
And then the buyer called me, I told him he's gonna have to have an engineer check out the foundation, you can't just use the foundation. The top of it's gotta go, the wood's gotta go,
Right.
but, so he's looking into that, cause he didn't wanna buy the property, apparently he's been mowing the back of Scott's property there because he didn't want the weeds and crap growing into his yard. So then he finally came out and said, when are you gonna do something with this? When he was looking at, like Ben just said about the trucks, when he was looking at the list of equipment, he goes, well, I'll buy it from you. So Scott called me and said, okay, I told the guy, give me a check. And the guy actually did called him to give him a check. He says they'll close in it's gonna take 3 months, but he's telling me they're gonna close in 2 weeks. They're not, I think he'll give him a check in 2 weeks. I don't think there's no way he's closed in 2 weeks. And then Jody Deambra, I've had, over a year, we've been working on 4 people that are hoarders. One guy decided to put a pellet stove chimney out his window and not get a permit. And actually, he had a huge fire next to his house, and Dickie told me, I called Dickie today about, like, why did the fire department go put out the fire? He had a fire 2 feet from the house, and it was 8 feet high. Okay, other people are saying, well, the fire department said we can't have a chimney here, we can't, no, that's not what he said. I mean, I looked it up in code, and these people came in and were complaining about that. So there's 4 units that Jody is taking over, broken windows and everything else, and she's got, I can forward her, email to you, it isn't in here, I just got it from her today.
Okay.
But she and I have been on the phone, for over a year. I mean, I went there with the sheriff's department, and Child Protective Services called me in the winter. I went there because this woman's house was so bad they took her kids away from her. And that's one of the houses that Jody now has back, that's lot 9, that she's gonna redo. I have pictures of the whole inside of it if you ever wanna,
I'm good with that.
yeah, if you ever wanna see.
Let's go on.
Okay. And I noticed on Facebook that Livingston Automotive Locksmith is a new company in Lima, and that's the illegal kid that's running the business on Hogan. So what is he, retired detective, Jennifer told me he was a retired detective, and he's really sick of this kid running a business there. And I had a year ago complaints about the same house, kids running their cars late at night and waking up the neighbors, and I talked to the dad about it, and they went from running loud cars at night to fixing cars, and so just one, a loud problem to a quiet problem.
And you sent a letter, right?
Yeah,
Okay, good. Good.
I was gonna send it to you, and then I'm like, yeah, I'll wait till we get more letters or more, some response from the people.
Yeah, keep us posted on that.
Any questions?
I'm solid, anybody else?
What's the address of this place where he has the cars and
It's
stuff?
up on Hogan Ave.
Hogan Ave.
70,
I don't think we need to give that.
Yeah, I'll give it-
7188
Just hold it
Hogan
on.
Avenue, on the left cul-de-sac, the left side, it should go towards a cul-de-sac at the end.
Got it. Thank you, Charlie, appreciate your
Yeah,
input.
I did take, I know I can legally take pictures from a public way, so I took pictures of the kid working on a car. This detective says that he has pictures and videos of them working on the cars, and he showed me one, but he's gonna put them on a thumb drive and give it to us, so we can stop this, because they've been harassing this older woman next door to them, to the point where she stopped calling me, she stopped contacting me, because she's afraid they're gonna retaliate on her. So now she's talked to the detective, like, she'll only talk to the detective about.
Thank you, Charlie.
Very well.
Thank you, moving along, Ben?
Yeah, so we're into April here, brush pickup has started, it was actually last week is what we posted it for. We're going around getting all the stuff that people put out after we went through. Hopefully the weather will continue and it'll cooperate, and we'll keep picking up brush as we go and we have time to do it. Hydrant flushing was this week, we're just about done with it, coming through. We'll say by Thursday, all your water should be back, settled out from, us riling it up a little bit. We got the park bathrooms are open, the temperature I know Sunday, Monday is supposed to drop again, a little bit cold, but it'll close the pavilion doors on the main thing, should be able to get through it, but there's been a lot of people out walking at the park, so we're trying to get the bathrooms up and going for them. The, dog park hydrant still needs a little bit of work on it, it kinda got, I don't wanna say misused, but it's been, overused a little bit out there, so the handle isn't working very well, it's leaking a little bit, so we got some work to do on that, but we'll try and get that up here in the next couple weeks to a month. We got a brand new mower came in that we're getting ready for the mow season, so the old one is gone, new one is in. We had a wet start to April, went through the stuff, we were out just as much as everybody else coming through, trying to handle what we could and clean off the drains. Once the pipes started draining through, because that's the problem, there was just too much volume in all the piping we had. Once it got up there, all the ditches receded and it went through, so stuff that was flooded when we went to bed, we woke up the next day and the ditches were down again. So it's a time thing, when Mother Nature comes and dumps 3, 4, 5 inches of rain on you, it's not a whole lot we can do, so thanks to the fire department for helping out with all that out there. Everybody was out crisscrossing, doing what we could. Other than that, now it is getting spring and weather, like I said, as long as it keeps up, we're gonna start our downtown cleanup, we're gonna start power washing, getting downtown situated over the next couple of weeks. Gonna start working on the banners and down at the park when we can get down there. We did a little work on the park path and stuff like that, and some stuff that didn't make it through the winter, some structurally stuff. We fixed that all up, but the farther we got out with the equipment, the deeper we got in, you know, kind of thing. So it's too wet to get out to do a lot of stuff we wanna do, but we're doing what we can.
I appreciate that. I got a lot of compliments on the crusher, runs on the park paths, from the community that you had put out there, so thanks for that. It makes it a lot more easier to walk around. Ben and I had an opportunity during that flood, after throwing out some sandbags in some people's houses, till about 8:30 at night, we stood in the parking lot of Fanatics and came up with a kind of game plan on knowing where the pipes are up underneath the pavement in front of the old Family Dollar Tree and post office behind Jim's, and Ben's knowledge of where he goes, and some ideas on what we can do to increase those pipes to improve flow, to restrict the backup that comes in from up on Eastwood and that side of town. So we'll be getting in touch with the MRB group as Ben has been trying to reach out and kind of come up with a game plan. How, I don't know. Money's gonna be ridiculous, but we gotta come up with something. We can't keep having our residents being, sacrificing their biggest investment, you know, year after year. Something's gotta be done. So it's gonna be a priority moving forward. Thanks for all your dedication. I noticed that there's a couple of people, like on Eastwood, that are throwing whole bushes out at the side of the road. Is that something that is manageable for the crew? Or?
Yeah, as long as it's down to the side of the road, not stacked up, you know, all intertwined, as long as there's a gap in between things, usually we can snag it with the backhoe.
Okay.
Where we get in trouble is when people put out a large pile that's 20 foot long, all intertwined.
Right.
If you do 8 foot piles with a 2 foot gap, we can snag just about everything that's out there. So as long as it's parallel to the road with a gap, we can get it.
And just for the record, for people that are online, Lima Trash Days starts on April 30th from 8 to noon at the Lima Town Garage on Dublin. It will go through Friday and Saturday. No permits are necessary this year. They are limiting it to one pickup truck at a time, or one pickup load. Will there be an electronics?
So the town is running that. I did get in contact with them, worked with them. They are having the electronic recycling come out like they have in the past. So basically, it's gonna be a carbon copy of last year and the year before, so.
Just no permits required.
There's no permits required.
You do have to bring your ID though.
Just gotta bring an ID in case we don't recognize you, but we pretty much got an idea of who's who coming through between the village and the town workers.
Got it. Awesome. Thank you so much, Ben. Any questions for Ben?
Trash days again, the date?
April 30th,
April
1st, and
30th.
2nd of May. We tried to keep it with what the town was doing first weekend of May.
Last chance for Ben?
Yep, thank you for making sure Buell didn't get washed out.
We tried, we
Yeah,
made the attempt.
Yeah, well, it was working the next day, which I was happy with.
Yeah.
So, it got scary on Buell. Like, my house doesn't have a basement, so it was almost coming in the door from the side door. And I was sitting there going, this is horrible for me,
Yeah.
but people with basements, it had to be worse.
Yeah,
It had to be
and the
worse.
guy at the bottom of the road there where the water was running by, his garage did not get any water in it.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
goodness.
it was
Good.
bone dry,
Good.
and the driveway was all situated the next day, and you wouldn't even know there was a water issue there by noon the next day, so.
That's Bengineering is what that is.
It was definitely a challenge, but we got through it.
I'm sorry, Mark. Thank you, Ben. Alyssa?
Just a reminder, any past due water and sewer bills need to be paid by the end of the month, or else they are going to be levied onto taxes. I've been sending notices, well, they're on all of your water bills, letting you know for the past several months that those need to be paid by then. There's just the year-to-date in here for revenues and expenses you can review at your leisure, and just ask questions if needed. I'm gonna need help with this because I'm not very familiar with it. So I keep getting increased questions, and requests for credit card payments to be made in the office. So for water and sewers, payments, or paying for like the pavilion rentals, things like that. Dan, are you familiar with any of that kind of stuff? With the
Point of sale?
the readers, or is anyone that could maybe help me research with that?
I would talk to the bank, and what you wanna do is you don't want it to be through your computer, ideally a small device. Cause then,
Right.
that way you don't have to worry about PCI compliance, and you don't have to go through the rigmarole for that, so that's the simplest way to do it.
I don't know if it'll be even cost effective, but something to maybe just look into so someone can help me research with that. I mean, I can use the machine, I'm familiar with using the machine, but it's the setup process of
That would be
researching and finding, one of.
We would have to discuss a path on the fees. That's usually typically.
Which is what we do anyways right now, for the
Typically
fees for the
3%.
water and sewer. If residents pay online, there is a service fee that gets passed on to, and that's charged by the company. So we can do credit card payments that way, but it's just a couple of those other
I'm pretty
fees
sure
that.
town's already doing that with a device.
Yes, they
With a
have,
pass-through.
yeah, they have one down there, but just something to start considering if anyone can kind
Is
of
this
help
through
me.
the 5-star? We would go through 5-star? Cause that's our primary, or do you have?
I don't,
Does it matter?
I'd have to see if they actually have what they have to give us or
there's a
something,
couple
cause I know
things.
that, I'm pretty sure they thought the town purchased their own the last time.
I believe they do it through a different service than their bank. I'd have
Right.
to double check that though, but that would be the start to find out and.
Yeah,
So
but just if
what
anyone
they
could help me with that, and then just we can see if it's even worth it to have it based on fees, but it is, cause most of us, I mean, a lot of us don't carry cash, I don't carry cash, rarely ever, so, but I do write checks. But anyways, just something to consider,
Can help with that.
and then just the bills.
We've got a motion to pay bills, didn't see this now.
Motion to pay the bills, I'll give you the record. $132,914.36.
Okay, we get a motion to pay the bills?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I lied, I got one more thing. We still have not received the final disbursement for the fiber project. It was supposed to, we should have received it by the 3rd of April. I reached out to Richard Sutherland last week. He was unavailable, he was on vacation. I reached out to him again today. He said that originally they had sent at the beginning of March that everything was all squared away, it was sent for final disbursement. When he reached out today, they said that there was another form that needed to be filled out. So I told him it's very vital that we have to get these funds because that bond anticipation note is coming due next month, I think it's around the 20th of May, so we have to have those funds. I'm gonna continue to hound him every couple days to see where we're at until we get them, but just to let everyone know that we still have not received the last disbursement, and it's about $165,000.
How many fiber companies do we have in Lima right now? We've got Empire Access, and then Frontier.
Frontier putting in lines.
Right.
And then
Frontier got
Green.
bought up by Verizon, so Verizon's actually doing it, so.
Oh, I see.
Are they? And then there's the green light, that's only for one specific thing, correct?
I think Spectrum has something.
Spectrum's, yeah, they use a coax, their coax cable,
I
they
think
say it's
Spectrum's
through
working on
fiber,
something.
from what I heard. I mean,
There's a few of them, so what happens once you bring one in, the rest of them will follow.
Yeah, and there's been a Frontier, peddler without a permit who I approached personally and asked him to go home until he had a permit, which he left, but then I saw him knocking on another door, and I said, the next call I make is gonna be with the sheriff's, and then it won't be nice, so. I haven't seen him back. I mean, there's no problem with them doing business in our community, but there's certain rules that we have.
He went north 3 miles.
He went north?
Yeah.
As, with the
He
Honeoye Falls.
went in to get a permit up there.
Probably. Any questions for Alyssa? Thank you, Alyssa. Moving forward.
We got a question.
I'm sorry, yes, sir.
So if
Brendan.
you need, I have a background in IT, so if you or Dan need some assistance with some information technology, as far as like just anything in general, but more specifically your payment processing, I can provide you with my phone number, we can chat about that.
Okay, sure. Appreciate it.
Thank you for offering. Okay, moving along, board reports. Myself, it's very simple. We've been in negotiations, been negotiating with the downtown district for putting out buntings with all the businesses to try to create a uniform look in the downtown business district for starting on Memorial Day, lasting through Labor Day. I worked with Karen Hansen Fritz. She put together a letter for me with both of us signing, giving them the business owners a Amazon account and a Temu account to look at that are almost identical in the bunting sizes, so they can display them in the downtown district, like I said, from Labor Day, Memorial Day through Labor Day. What else we got? The 4th of July event is coming along very well with the help of the Be Well Committee. I won't go into too much detail, let Brian can top off on that. But at this point, we have six food trucks, not including the milk and honey food truck, with respect to mac and cheese and a grilled cheese truck, roast beef and a pizza, tacos, sausage and burgers. So we got a nice array of food, not to mention kettle corn and pizza. So it's gonna be a wonderful day for Lima. The And also, we received grants from Livingston County's Historic Society in the amount of $800, and that's gonna help put up some tents and some posters for the 4th of July. We also have a corporate sponsor for the transportation bus that's usually run by the Moose Lodge, and Amy Crawford, her company Leaf Guard has offered to sponsor that bus. So the money's coming together very nice. We've had a lot of nice contributions to help support, including the Travers family, who donated $2,500 to the VUL event. So that's just an amazing thing that people coming through the woodworks and help support something greater than ourselves. It's pretty cool. That's pretty much all I have. Brian?
Wanted to at the park, the gazebo re-roof for both the Jack Tubbs gazebo and the American Legion gazebo has been completed as of today. I want to thank Steve for helping to facilitate that with the Mennonite that did some really good work at a considerable savings. All of that was, however, paid, just so everyone knows, by the American Legion and the Pumpkin Festival. So no taxpayer dollars were spent on those. The Parks Commission will be meeting on April 23rd at 6:30 here. At that meeting, we should have, we expect to formulate the master plan committee have that formulation complete. We will move on from there to work on that committee to inform the master plan. Be Well, as the mayor said, the 250, the 7th Centennial is moving right along. We expect it to be a once every 50 years kind of event. If you don't like it, you can take care of it in 50 years from now, in the next one. So, but I think it'll be a really good event. On Thursday, Thursday here at the Town Hall, there will be a presentation on sleep better, stress less. We had a similar presentation in the wintertime at the library. This is an updated version of it, so I found that to be a very good presentation. If it starts at 7 o'clock, if that's not past your bedtime, hope to see you here. On the 23rd, we have, or sorry, the 25th, at the end of National Volunteer Week, Be Well will be sponsoring a volunteer fair here from noon to 4. That is to help bring all of the volunteer organizations in the community together with our citizens who may want an idea of what they'd like to work with, also to have a little bit of interaction between the groups to see what we can do to support each other, and to support the idea of something called micro-volunteerism, where you may not have all the ability to be like Fran and George and run an entire organization to fix up the Village Green, but you might have 3 or 4 hours to help out at the Pumpkin Festival, or a few hours to work on knocking on doors for some other issue or other group. So that's one of the major goals of the
Help as a parking attendant during the 4th of July event over in the church.
Right.
Just putting that out there.
Yeah.
Brian, I have a question on that. How was it put out there to all the organizations in Lima that they would know about it?
So it started out, we did have an issue with our volunteer organizer. There was an issue, a personal issue, and I'm trying to come back from that. It is our first year, so I apologize if anyone didn't hear about it. So.
Well, the other night I was at Lodge, and so now the Masons are coming also. I informed them about it.
That's
awesome.
And again, everyone's welcome.
Awesome.
It does take a village. I appreciate that, Steve, really do. Crossroads Festival, the council met on Monday. Again, for those that don't know, we meet every month, and then as it gets closer, twice a month, to put on that festival. 18,000 people were at the festival last year. So I am going to ask the board for, similar to last year, the ability to have, for me or for Dan, to execute landlord agreements with the institutions, which would be Fanatics, the American Hotel, if it's available, which I don't think it will be, Tyson's, and the Normal, and any other entities that would need a landlord agreement to execute for usage on village property, which would be the sidewalks or the parking lots. So I'll ask I would ask a motion for that. Or, and I'm happy to explain to anyone who doesn't know that.
Yeah, maybe just explain it.
Yes, so,
30
yep,
seconds.
so in order to, for the events to be, for the vendors from our village to serve outside of their normal areas, which is inside of their restaurants or bars, they have to apply to the New York State Liquor Authority for a permit for the weekend to include the spaces adjacent to their buildings, which does include sidewalks and the parking lot here to the west, to the east.
So it's basically what we've been doing for the last several years.
It is exactly the same, right? It's on a case by case basis.
Yeah, I'll look at it with you.
Yep, it will be the same exact
No, I
level
figured.
form as last year, so.
I figured, but I'll look at it.
Absolutely, and I will, yeah.
So we can get a motion to.
I'll make a motion that you
Brian and Van.
can go through that, and as long as it's okay by our lawyer.
Second, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, as far as the American, right now, we were down there the last day it was open, saw Pat and wished him off the best. From what I see on Positively Lima and what he said, the Flansburghs are looking at August to reopen. Right now is what I believe is out there.
Right. That is my understanding as well. I don't believe that they'll be open for
Be nice if they
for the
were,
festival,
but
but if they are, it'd be my pleasure
Yeah.
to do whatever we can to assist them with that as a great way to introduce themselves to reintroduce the American to the community, so. Golden Agers met today, I was there and Ben was there, again, we had a nice conversation. They appreciate the donation from the village. Matt Grant, I reached out to him, he has declined to accept reappointment to the planning board. So I informed the mayor of that, and I believe, unless I've forgotten something, that's my talk.
So if there's anybody out there in 365 land that's interested in participating with the planning board as a village representative, please contact myself, Brian or Alyssa at the office. Thank you.
Can I ask a quick question?
Ma'am.
Steve, do you have the invoice for the gazebo?
Mayor has it, took a copy of it.
I haven't seen, I don't
I
have
brought it to Jennifer, and she said she was gonna give it to you at the board meeting last week.
I just didn't know where to find it so that we can.
Okay, I thought you said you made a copy of it, I'll,
No, I gave the
I'll have
original
to
copy
quick
to
look at
Jennifer.
it.
She said she would put it in your file or your folder.
Okay,
That's where it last is.
Thank you for that. In the event that, and again, this is to pay the folks who did the roofs at the park. While it's not village or town money, it is running through the village park account, from donations from from a few weeks ago, or a few months ago, from the Pumpkin Festival and the American Legion. I would make a motion that the board say, allow for that payment to be processed as soon as possible, if there's a need for the village to do that. Because again, we did not have that in our bills for the month.
No, I haven't seen it. No, but they gave, it was just gotta
Yeah,
go through here.
so-
but
I just wanna be clear about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
4,800
Yep.
So,
is the total.
so again, I would
For
just
both of them?
Yes, that's the whole project,
whole
the
deal.
both
Okay.
roofs,
I would just make a motion to the board that
with new
we
cupolas. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
pay the bill through those donated funds
Upon receipt of the invoice.
upon receipt of the invoice.
Want to get a second
I'll-
in there?
Second.
Get it down to you in the morning.
All in favor?
And then I'll double check with Jenna to see if it's in there.
Thank you for bringing it up.
Mr. Dosworth, anything to add, please?
Just a side note, Dr. Fred Antonelli, his last day as president of Elam Bible College will be August 1st. He's had dramatic health challenges. He's got heart surgery scheduled for next month, and then August 1st, they're moving back to Baltimore. So they have a search committee looking for a new president for the Bible College.
On that note as well, it's good to have you here too.
So,
Yeah.
Glad to have you back. And Ben, you shared some news today at the Golden Agers regarding the old GGC building. Did you want to share that?
Yes, my daughter works for an education company called Teach to Learn, and they have purchased the Genesee Community College building, and they wanna meet with Tony Tondrick because they wanna purchase another acre, because they wanna put a gym next to the building.
That's awesome.
So right now that's where we're at.
Thank you.
Great update, keep us posted. Thank you. Josh?
Just really quick, 2 scouts are gonna be working on the Eagle Scout projects. One of them will be putting the new dock at Mark Tubbs Park, the pond there. I know that was on hold because the weather obviously got cold. But as it gets warmer, we should be working on that fairly soon. In the next month and a half, I think he'll be working on that.
Has he raised enough funds to complete the project?
Yeah, that was all.
It's all paid for by the Pumpkin Festival.
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
And then the other one is Brian as well, and he'll be working on the bike racks, so you should be seeing those getting worked on as well.
Has the check been cut?
We got no invoice yet.
Yeah, it hasn't yet. I talked to Mom, they're trying to figure that out.
And there was $1,000 earmarked to go to that also for the 2 racks.
Yep. Thank you.
Did they decide where the racks were gonna be located, one at the park and one at
They have the maps all, I don't.
Because he talked about, when he presented to the board, there was potentially 4 different site locations, and I don't know if they whittle it down to 2,
No,
maybe
they-
one by the pharmacy and one at the park.
I think he's keeping all 4 of them.
Oh, okay, great,
Pocket parks and 2 at the park, I believe.
yeah. Outstanding. Mr. Dan?
Yes, I've got a few here, in my short stint. Had some good meetings, following up with what Dave said for the ambulance, got some alignment in the discussion for the agreements. The right on top of the crossroads from Brian, in good shape, we're on target for fundraising so far, which is good. Adding some youth attractions, putting together, something that's for maybe a little older kids. We got some complaints that there was just stuff for little kids last year.
Yeah, I wanna play too.
I know, so, I'm putting together what's gonna be called the drone alley. It'll be a 40-foot long netted in area that the kids can drive drones, right? And then we have another, tent that'll have, 2 areas for doing remote control construction equipment, moving tiny little bricks and beams and whatever we can find to put in it. So hopefully that'll keep them busy. And of course, we'll bring back the very popular kid car wash, which was amazing. There was a young dad with his little kid this tall. They stayed 3 hours. The kid was just loving it.
You wanna make sure his kids are clean.
So for me, the festival is all about building these memories.
Yeah.
That's what it's about.
So Dan, at the Golden Acres, there was a question of an age limit for the drone alley, because we have some folks who wanted to try it.
Yeah, there might be one for the smaller side, but if they have a parent, it's okay. Well, we gotta figure that
These
out.
are grandparents.
Yes, yes. I'm soliciting Cougar Tech to see if they will help us go through a process because they're very into safety and all this stuff. And we'll have them go through and vet and maybe come up with rules and things like that as part of their game plan, what they do for the school, for the robotics. Let's see, I have a note here for the village office. Alyssa's gonna have a bunch of stuff for me. That's what you said at the organizational meeting, so make a list if you need any help with anything. I was at the town meeting. I think the big news for there is, that affects the villages, there's no change in the project design for the water, so, that's all I have.
Great, thank you, Dan. I failed to mention one thing. Steve has been kind enough to reach out to the Morocco family with Empire Management, who own the Family Dollar Tree building beside the post office behind Fanatics. And since they pulled out some time ago, talks have been re-upped and they've been negotiating. The talks are still open. They are not at the pace that Mr. Morocco, who owns the building, would like, but they're still open. There was also another investor out of Avon that was talking to Mr. Morocco about another type of retail business, but that was not disclosed at this time. But, so he's still got some irons in the fire, so just to let people know out there, there's still hope. There's still hope to fill that vacancy. Moving along to old business, we have an Arbor Day update. Anyone?
So,
I think
we're
John
sort of
talked
at,
about it, didn't he?
The question is, who will be, who would like to take that, whether it's a park, issue, or if it's a shade tree, or all?
I will be at the volunteer fair from for setting up to 4, so
Right.
I will be out of pocket, so I would leave it up to, all other available parties to man it. Usually I only need 2 people.
So if we could have it from, say, 9 in the morning until 11, that will allow me also to be part of the volunteer fair.
There you go.
And I'm happy to assist at that point. I know that Ben, you're picking up the,
I believe we are picking them up Friday morning at 8 o'clock.
okay, so, the giveaway will be at Mark Tubbs Park, from 9 to 11.
Number 24th.
On the 25th.
Excuse me.
25th, Saturday, rain or shine. There's 3 types of trees, 25 of each. And I had also ordered 25 lilac bushes to utilize in the park as screenings. Hopefully, we'll see if they take.
And these things are only this big.
Yeah, they're only this big.
I was wondering what I got
Yeah.
to pick them up with.
Right, so they will be planted out in the no-mow zone to hopefully grow. If they don't grow, they don't grow. It's just an opportunity.
How tall are they again?
They're seedlings, they're this big.
Oh, okay, because last couple of years, we got
Some of the
pretty
deciduous
good
ones
sizes.
can sometimes be 2 years old, so they are that big, but
And they are rooted, but they're just naked
they're
root?
naked root.
Okay,
So-
as long as we keep them damp.
So,
So 9 to 11, Arbor Day, Saturday the 25th at Mark Tubbs Park. Can someone put a flyer together that we can distribute out there, please?
I will put that out.
Alyssa, can we also get that on the, my line?
I have a question here.
When, in talking about trees, what about street trees?
We are gonna get to that actually in new business, section 3 of our, so that will be coming up.
Okay, language interpreter policy. Alyssa, did you want me to read the language interpreter policy or just review it?
Oh, it's not my policy. It was
Okay.
just one that was created and it was from discussion last month.
Right, I'm encouraging all the board members to go ahead and review the policy. I'll be happy to read it for the audience regarding the language interpreter services policy statement. The village is committed to ensuring effective communications with the individuals who have disabilities or language-related communication needs in accordance with applicable federal and state laws upon reasonable request for all regularly scheduled village board meetings. The village will provide appropriate auxiliary aids and services, which may include qualified interpreters, video remote interpreting, or VRI, written communication, or other effective methods depending on the nature of the interaction. The type of assistance provided will be determined based on the complexity and the importance of the communication and the individual's needs. The village will give primary consideration to the individual's preferred method of communication. However, an alternative method may be provided if it is equally effective or if the requested accommodation would result in an undue financial or administrative burden. Qualified interpreters will be preferred when necessary for complex legal or official matters to ensure accurate and effective communication. For routine interactions, less formal methods of communication may be used where appropriate. Individuals are encouraged to request communication assistance with at least 4 business days of notice. The village will make reasonable efforts to accommodate all requests, including those made without advance notice. All requests should be made to the village clerk, who will be responsible for ensuring compliance with this policy. Village clerk may, at his or her discretion, keep a list of qualified translators. Any comments from trustees?
My only comment is we had discussed a 5-day lead time, given that it is sometimes difficult to get.
Yeah.
And we do have.
Considering we have our meetings on Tuesdays and, you know, a 5th day wouldn't hurt just to have an extra business day.
And if it's it happens to be a Friday meeting for whatever reason, it would give us the week to qualify. Again, we will always make accommodations as necessary and as possible and appropriate, but I think 5 days would be a better term, 5 business days.
That sounds fair.
Do you have a website or something that you go to hire these people?
We have some volunteers that have come forth. One of our last, meeting before last, the one interpreter had another friend, they live locally, and they had volunteered a special rate to come to and interpret for our village board meetings.
Cause
So,
doing an inspection over on Evergreen Street, there's a husband and wife that are both interpreters. I was thinking I could reach out to them if you wanted to.
please shoot them my information or shoot them around, get them in touch with Alyssa, we can put them on the list and have a chain letter or chain of command, so whoever's available first, and we'll rotate them through if that suits Alyssa, whatever our needs are, absolutely.
Just a comment, just be aware if it's a really long meeting, you might need to.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, their length of time to interpret is usually about an hour and a half to 2 hours, and 2 hours is pushing it depending on the complexity of the conversation. But that'll be taken into consideration for sure. Alyssa, thank you for putting this together for us. New business, policy and procedure. We have a new, policy and procedure. 1 is requirements and expectations of liaison. So basically, where we went through the organizational meeting last week and reassigned the trustees to new boards and new community groups, and their responsibility will be exclusive to that board. If there's conversations or communication that needs to go to that committee or department or board that they're representing, it should go through the liaison and or through me, just for the right chain of command. The reports are done on a regular basis. If the individual groups are meeting on a bi-monthly, then you're expected to at least attend one of the meetings if at all possible. And if you can't be at the meeting, in our current board meeting, then a written report would be requested so we can update the board accordingly. The Code of Ethics updates, we all have a copy of Chapter 15, Ethics and Code of Ethics, the purpose of intent, definitions, etc. The Code of Ethics that will be used is the Code of the Ethics Board from Livingston County. The Livingston County has the boards of ethics to function as the local Board of Ethics, so in case that's in question.
I have a question for Matt. This is regarding municipal officers and employees.
Yep.
It does pull out that someone like a volunteer fireman or civil defense volunteer is not considered a municipal officer, but a fire chief or assistant chief is. In our case, we have assistant chief and chief of the ambulance. Is that inferred in that fire chief, or does it need to be amended?
I think it's inferred, but it certainly doesn't hurt to clarify.
Okay.
So, it's an easy fix if you wanna make that a little more specific.
What I would like to do is encourage everyone to take these codes of ethics with you, highlight and make any modifications and bring it back to our following meeting so we can make any customized adjustments and apply it to a board, to the village. Any comments? Concerns? Okay, please earmark that, leave it out of your binder so you can review
You
that.
can take your binders with you,
Right.
so it's up to you if you wanna do either.
citizen. We have a shade tree policy addendum.
So, that actually brings up the point. The reason for the discussion is, through the semi-quincentennial, the conceptual idea of planting a Liberty tree consisting of a disease-resistant cultivar of elm is the intent of the semi-quincentennial group. I was informed that at some point there was a shade tree policy that was established for the village. It is not in the code though, so we've done an exhaustive look at the code and there is none. If anyone knows of a
I'm
list
sorry,
of
I just
trees-
want to say, there is a shade tree,
Oh,
there's
sorry,
a
yeah.
shade tree in the code, but there's no list of ban trees.
Of ban trees. I apologize for missing.
Yeah, there's a shade tree commission section, but it doesn't talk about.
It does not talk about any banned trees. Whether that had, and I've reached out to several people, one has not gotten back to me yet, who might be able to inform me. Perhaps some here may have information from the 2017-2018 timeframe when this was supposedly developed, but there is no official tree list of banned trees, which would have apparently included elm, the American elm. So there's no need for us to make a change to something that doesn't officially exist at this point.
Is this because of the risk of beetle damage?
So, yeah, Dutch elm disease decimated American elms across the country. There are disease-resistant cultivars, about 6 of them now, that are appropriate to plant. But my intention was to amend this list of prohibited trees if necessary, but since we can't find it, it's not in the codes, and if anyone has information, I'd be happy to listen to it, but at this point, it's moot until it's not.
Yeah, I mean, John Water did a lot with that, and I suspect you've spoken with him.
Again, it's not, nothing was filed or recorded,
Yeah,
so,
I think the Shade Tree Commission has the authority under the law to make such a list.
And that can be added as an amendment?
I don't think it has to be in the law, you can make it part of the law if you want, you can just make it a list that the Shade Tree Commission keeps.
I don't think there was any law, but there was the program, and I know they got money from, various entities. And I know you went with him and some others and did, an inventory of where they were needed. And that was why I was raising my hand, because, we talk about traffic calming and that kind of thing. And certainly, the tree canopy is very important. And I have noticed that where, and I might be wrong, but where it was that annually, the village was working to make sure that that tree canopy was installed in the tree lawns along all of the village streets. I don't think that there's been the same planting of trees each year that we had, and therefore there are gaps now. And I really do think that it makes a big difference. On Main Street, a lot of the trees were put in when they redid the road, and that was in 1988. So that's a long time ago. And they haven't all survived, I understand that. And obviously, then you can speak to that more clearly than I can. I only can speak from observation. But when there are big gaps, the whole feeling of the village changes. We want to, especially as unfortunately our temperatures are rising, the more tree cover that we have, the better it is for our temperature regulation, as well as carbon sequestration, that kind of thing. Plus the fact that that's one of the main ways that you can, other than, speed limits, which not everybody obeys. One way you do that is through your tree canopy, and that has been proven to cause people to slow down. And so I really think that an allocation each year to maintaining and replacing our tree cover is critically important.
Okay, I can speak on a little bit of this.
Absolutely.
You're right, we haven't been planting as many trees that come down. One reason why the trees planted in the small area between the road and the sidewalk wreak havoc on the sidewalks. They lift the sidewalks up, the larger ones down there, and when it's tree to tree, when they're 15 feet apart, we can't get equipment in to rip the sidewalk out to repair them. So then we get lots of complaints that the sidewalks are uneven, they're broken up, why aren't you fixing them? And telling them, oh, because there's so many trees, I can't get in there to get in the concrete trucks, can't get as we're doing it. So that's one thing that why I don't, it's just not all me. Another thing, when a tree comes down in somebody's front yard and is dying, if it is up between the sidewalk and the road, if we have to come take it down, which we usually will do, I then talk to the homeowner, would you like a tree replaced or whatever else? If they say yes, I replace the tree. If they tell me no, I do not put a tree back there because I know me as a homeowner would not be happy if I just sat there and said, you are the proud owner of it even if you don't want it, because someone said, oh, I want the sunlight. My grass dies because the trees, you know what I mean? So I understand what you're saying, but I try to work with the homeowners before we just sit there and say, oh, but it's in the right of way, even though it's not our property, you know what I mean? Because we don't mow it, we don't maintain stuff between the sidewalk and the road. So I don't feel like we should just put trees back there just cause, unless the homeowner wants it. And then I'm more than happy to do it, you know, kind of thing. And usually I'll even give them a choice of trees, you know, say, hey, here's some, would you like a shade tree, would you like, you know, a cherry Kwanzaa or whatever else, kind of thing. But the homeowners will say, thank goodness it's not there, I've had issues with it, I can't see pulling out of my driveway, the tree blocks my, you know, driveway view as I'm coming out. So I understand what you're saying, you know, kind of thing. I just also work with the homeowners, because me as a resident of my house, if they were, you know, just putting trees up there, I didn't want one, because I don't wanna mow around it, pick up the leaves, pick up the sticks, be able to see out the end of the driveway. I wouldn't be happy if the village just said, no, it's your property that you want to take care of, but here's a tree, you know, type thing. Anyone who wants one, when we take one down, we have no problem replacing it.
And I can add something as well. Several years ago, 2.5 years ago, the village spent a little over $35,000 on shade trees. What I do know is that Mr. Waddick had a list of preferred trees for that purpose. So I do know we have something of that with the shade tree, preferred trees, but again, as we go back, there is no one can find a list of trees that are banned from the village. So that $35,000 actually was something, if I remember correctly, around 80 trees, if I remember the correct number, that went in along the village. So at one time. So
How many trees was that bed up there?
Was it
Remember
80?
Was it?
I don't think it was, I thought it was more in the 45
think it was
range.
in the
Okay.
35.
Yeah, that went up on West Main Street, it was a lot of them, and
Yeah.
even some of those where we may have looked and thought it was a good spot, we've had some of them are close to the intersections where we've
Yeah,
had,
the tree lawn is not that wide in some.
right, it's tough up there. And like I said, and then down on East Main Street, the sidewalks are so far off the road, there's a lot more area for the trees, and they became larger trees that got planted. And they wreak havoc on the sidewalk and make it difficult to maintain some of them coming through. So you're half of 6 one way, half a dozen the other, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand.
Yep.
I also understand though that when DOT did the road in 1988, the trees were part of the project.
Mhm.
They didn't say, do you want a tree?
Right.
They put the trees in because they felt that was needed, and they were also, continuing the plan. Actually, I happen to know the landscape architect who was doing that, John, and he showed me the plans that they had for 5 and 20 when they first paved 5 and 20 back in like 1920 or something. And that called for street trees, even all the way out into the town. And on West Main, you could still see, West Main Road, you could still see some of those trees that went in at that time. So I would just say that, street trees in many communities, and even in our own, have had a long history, you know, of being there. And they, I think, serve a very important purpose.
Duly noted, and I agree with you, that the shade canopies are really beautiful, and it does have, give you a tendency of slowing down to.
Well, it's documented.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done all kinds of research that shows that that's exactly what happens when people enter a village and there is a perceptible tree canopy. They don't have to worry about what their speed is, they slow down.
Well, we'll continue to offer the residents an option to replace as trees do come down, but we'll also keep an open mind to the opportunity to maybe plant more if it doesn't impede our sidewalks and, you know, cause additional damage. Of course, when the DOT planted everything, they wanted to create a vision, but they didn't think about the secondary compromise it was gonna be to the sidewalks, you know, long term.
Well, I don't know, Ben, the trees that they put in 1988, I know what they are, cause I got them in my own yard. They've not gotten to the point yet where they're, uplifting any sidewalk. They're not big enough yet. I mean, even 40 years, they're still not big enough yet to do that.
I appreciate your comments, thank you, Fran. Do we have any other comments on the, shade tree addendum? You gonna come up with that?
I mean, I certainly can add that the three major cultivars that are acceptable, for that, and I'll bring that to the next meeting. And if somebody does come up, and we do find the actual list, we'll present that as well.
Sounds good. We have, under new business, the Honeoye Falls Mendon Lima Youth Baseball League.
Yeah, this is the contract with the Honeoye Falls Lima Mendon Youth Baseball League for use of the baseball field at Tubbs Park. It's the same contract we've entered into them for many years now. This is simply the most recent renewal of that. They use it pretty much all summer to
Right.
a little bit into the fall. So they're taking care of it.
There was questions in the past of them taking care and fertilizing the grounds. Are they still responsible for that?
The exact same contract that they have. So, yes.
They just use what the school uses, right? Is that what we decided?
Approved.
Yeah, the agreement was they're gonna use the same standards and techniques and practices that the Honeoye Falls Lima Central School uses.
Do we have a motion?
Yes, we need a motion.
Motion that will, Mayor Skiptulis will sign the user agreement.
I will second that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. This will require a signature from Mr. Cates as well?
Yes.
Supervisor?
And for the dugout roofs, they had that organization has, offered to upgrade and replace the roofs on the dugouts at their cost. They had asked about colors. Thank you, Steve, for bringing this. This is the color of happens to be the color of the new gazebos, as well as the color of the pavilion out by the dog park right on Bluebird Lane. Will you have contact with them?
Yep.
There you go.
Yeah, I think we should probably have a motion. So the baseball league is going to replace and refurbish the roofs of the dugouts, hopefully in a green, at their own expense. A Pike Contracting is a certified contractor, is gonna do the work for free. They're insured. It's all no cost to the village.
They can do the chow hut too?
The dugouts, right?
Just the dugouts? Is that a metal product?
That happens. to be
This is
the-
metal.
Yes. And if you'd like, I can give you the supplier of that too, to give to them,
Sure.
so.
But yeah, so we would need, assuming it's okay with the board, we would need a motion to approve them replacing the roofs at their own costs.
I will make a motion that the Honeoye Falls Lima Mendon Youth Football or Baseball will be allowed to replace the dugout roofs at Mark Tubbs Park.
Second, please?
Second.
Ty, Ben, all All in favor? Opposed?
Tie goes to the runners.
It's a double baseball, right? Good deal. I don't have anything else.
I apologize, I did find one more thing that I, to discuss, and it is actually traffic calming. Since October of last year, I approached the, town board about, an effort to have traffic calming on Main Street towards Avon, as well as to the south on 15A. The supervisor has followed through with the plan to, that one of the options we have is to have a public campaign to sign a memorandum of understanding for the village resident and town residents that they want traffic calming in those two areas. So along with Walt and Karen Fritz, we will be developing some language. I'm going to ask for some ability to have an online petition as well, but we will be going door to door seeking support for the idea of that to provide to the New York State Department of Transportation as part of that traffic calming coming up and down the hill on Main Street and from the south, where we do not have that 45-mile-an-hour buffer zone.
Good, when we go door to door, you can ask for donations for the,
That's right.
the Village Green as well,
Yeah.
right? Kill two birds with one stone.
So, thank you for allowing me that in.
Any other comments from the board? Any comments from the public?
Yeah, shouldn't take more than a half an hour.
Steve? Half an hour.
So, we covered the bike racks. Ben, can we get about, I'd say about 3 yards of topsoil? I wanna start, filling that in where all the electric went in. I've got
It's on our
grass seed.
list, it's on our list right now, the rush gravel, they don't have topsoil just yet. That's
Okay.
the problem. A lot of times topsoil, you're lucky if you get it into May, for
Okay.
it to come out. I have some at the shop, we've already looked at it to see, getting down there.
I've
around
got
the pavilion.
grass seed and the straw is all donated. I'm all set there.
Yeah.
So, and I can get a crew, we'll get it, raked out.
It's just getting the topsoil is the problem. As soon as I can get it, I can get you some.
Regarding the youth baseball, whoever is the contact with them, Matt, that's you or no?
I'd say probably more Ben, but yeah, I have contact with the organization.
I would just like to see, I called the mayor here a week ago, I thought they were stolen. They took a bunch of blocks out of the one big bed. It'd be nice if they put them back now. I'm sure it was adults that took them out of there, and they're all down by the dugouts, piled up down there. I've gotta reset them anyways, I've gotta fix that and reset them.
Okay.
But if they could please bring them back, at least stack them over there, we'll get that done.
Okay, you found them.
Yeah. I've got a copy here, both for the mayor and talking about Morocco's. There is
Morocco's or Morocco's?
both of them, Louis and David. I met with not met with them, called them. I also met with David Malone and Bob Hockadell on Genesee Street. This cemetery is atrocious right now, needs cleanup along the fence is bad. Josh, is that anything the Boy Scouts could,
Which cemetery?
right here by Quickville?
Oh,
And Morocco owns the hill, the major portion of it. I asked the two homeowners on Genesee Street, they had no problem with that. And I told Morocco, we're not gonna take a lot, but it'd be nice to trim it back 6 inches, 8 inches at least. And he sent me that okay permission to go onto their property to do that.
And that's the string of property between the church and his building?
That is correct, that hillside,
Yes, sir.
yes.
Steve, there's also a couple of gophers that are in there making holes around the.
We know how to take care of them, don't worry
Yeah,
about them.
But that's
They will,
one of the projects.
They'll be
is
gone.
for the 250.
On the Pumpkin Festival, we have our seed giveaway coming up May 2nd. I picked up a major sponsor today. I met with him, Harris Seed out of Rochester, New York.
Nice.
Is one of our newest, biggest sponsors. You know, any kids, grandkids, neighbors, that you folks can pass those around. We are also going to solicit them into the school down here. They're in some other businesses around town, and I believe you can do the QR code, we put it in the penny saver.
So they can, this QR code is the actual draw, their ability to
Yes.
download it and draw it?
Yes, if they need to, but it's right here. You can make copies of this. So the deal with this and some pumpkin plants, again, we got a new division this year, white pumpkins, which Harris Seed has supplied us with the seed, and those are the big whites. And we are going to have plants. Last year, we raised money right around $300 and some for Friends of the Library. This year, what we decided at our first meeting of the year, our charitable organization this year, anything raised is going to the Historical Society. And they will be there that day. We will be selling chances on the big pumpkins, and we will be selling chances to put your choice. It's going to be a People's Choice Award for this winner, for the child. And it'll be judged that day, and the prize money handed out that afternoon to the winning child. So, I guess that's about all I had.
Outstanding job,
Thank you.
Steve. Thank you for the
Thanks,
update.
And Steve, next week, April 22nd, is Earth Day, and typically the type of project you discussed about cleanups, what happened during that week? So
Well,
if I can be of assistance, please let me know.
like you said, I've got the grass seed, I've got the straw up, Ben, if we can get some dirt, at least to get started. It'd be nice to get done right around the building, the pavilion. I'd like to get that done
So it's
first.
supposed to get down to 26.
Oh, yeah, I know, I see it.
It'll have to be next week before we start getting
Yeah.
any grass or anything out there, or else it's just gonna.
Right, yeah, I'd say it's 2 weeks out, let's say. Probably to, like to get that done and get it growing.
Yeah.
So that's all filled in, for the 4th of July.
All right.
Thanks.
There's no other comments. Can we get a motion to adjourn, and we're gonna need an executive session?
I
Yes.
believe, yes.
Yes,
We're in
okay,
the
so-
executive session for personnel matters.
So, make a motion to adjourn our regular meeting and enter an executive session for an important personnel matter.
Update, please, second, all in favor? Okay, thank you, everyone, appreciate you coming. Thank you, George, great
Have a good
presentation.
evening.